Hey guys, I'm sure you got the phone call or email yesterday of Miss Erickson kind of calling and explaining what's going to happen. So I just want to kind of touch on a couple of the points that she said. So as we all know that we will have to be doing learning at home for the remainder of the year. This can occur either through paper packets if you do not have internet, or excuse me, um, online with some of the things that we have assigned you, or a combination of both of those things. We will, as teachers, be working with you as students and as parents to answer as many questions as we possibly can and be available to you. I do not know what our office hours are yet. We're having a staff meeting via Zoom on Monday, and then we will kind of come up with a plan from there. I know for my office hour, I most likely will be using Zoom or Google Hangout so we can video chat with each other, but we're going to have to figure out the logistics of that. Like she said, where each teacher and administrator will have a scheduled time that we will be accessible to parents and students, and we'll also be able to answer emails and make phone calls at different times whenever it's more convenient for parents in case parents are working. Monday and Tuesday is when packets will be given out. The packet can be picked up at the school that the student attends, so your packet can be picked up at the middle school, and it's going to be according to last name. Cash, stop. So if your last name begins with an A through an F, you will be able to pick up your packet either on Monday from 4 to 4:45 or Tuesday from 10 to 10:45 in the morning. So 4 to 4:45 in the afternoon on Monday, on Tuesday 10 to 10:45 a.m. If you have the last name beginning of last names beginning with the letters G through R, cash, stop. If you have a last name beginning with the letters G through R, you can pick up your packets on Monday from 4:45 to 5:30 p.m. or on Tuesday from 10:45 to 11:30 a.m. And then finally, last names beginning with S through Z, you can pick up packets on Monday between 5:30 and 6:15 p.m. and Tuesday from 11:30 to 12:15 a.m. to p.m. So right before, like around lunchtime, around noon. You will not go into the school to get your stuff. We will deliver them to you. So admin and staff will deliver the packets to the cars. So they have locker stuff too with your name on it that can get delivered to you, as well as the packets of information that can be done at home. So it says at RES and RMS, packets will be delivered to cars. Please remain in your vehicle and we will deliver the packet to you. So they will deliver the packet and your locker stuff to the car. Make sure that you're still using social distancing strategies to limit both your exposure and that of the individuals distributing materials. So being able to protect the people that are going to be delivering those things to your cars as well. If you are not able to come to the school during those times to pick up the packets, the school will contact you and arrange another method of delivering the resources. So I would suggest, if you know right now you cannot get those resources, I would call the board office and leave a message and just say your name and that you won't be able to pick it up, and we're looking for another way to get that those materials. And then it just says more information will be coming home regarding what learning will look like at home and how and when you will be able to engage with teachers. And then it says if you at any point have questions, please call the Board of Education office and leave a message. The number is 275-6600. Again, I think they said they wanted to have students begin working on Thursday, April 16th. So this coming Thursday. So those are the answers I have so far. I don't know when office hours are and things like that. I do know that the packets that we put together to get sent home are things that you can do independently. It's all stuff that we have learned already, and it's a review. So it shouldn't be too tough. I'm not sure if there will be another time that we will deliver packets or if we'll just continue with doing some online stuff. I would love to work with you guys online to write a opinion essay or a persuasive essay, so we can get that practice in, because that's really our last essay that we did not even get started on this time. So with that being said, we're going to continue on with Number the Stars. We just found out that Ellen is going to be coming to stay with the Johansons, and it's the night of the Jewish New Year, and Anne-Marie's really confused because she doesn't understand, like, they normally celebrate, and it doesn't make sense that suddenly Ellen's parents are going to visit relatives. We also found out that Jewish stores were shut down by the Nazis, like the Button store was shut down, and there's some things that are happening in Copenhagen that is really changing what's going on. So, we're going to continue on. Though Mrs. Rosen had sent her chicken to the Johansons, and Mama made a lovely dinner large enough for second helpings all around, it was not an evening of laughter and talk. Ellen was silent at dinner. She looked frightened. Mama and Papa tried to speak of cheerful things, but it was clear that they were worried, and it made Anne-Marie worry too. Only Christy was unaware of the quiet tension in the room, swinging her feet in her newly blackened and shiny shoes. She chattered and giggled during dinner. Early bedtime tonight, little one, Mama announced after the dishes were washed. We need extra time for the long story I promised about the king and the queen. She disappeared with Christy into the bedroom. What's happening? Anne-Marie asked when she and Ellen were alone with Papa in the living room. Something's wrong. What is it? Papa's face was troubled. I wish that I could protect you children from this knowledge, he said quietly. Ellen, you already know. Now we must tell Anne-Marie. He turned to her and stroked her hair with his gentle hand. This morning at the synagogue, the rabbi told his congregation that the Nazis have taken the synagogue lists of all the Jews, where they live, what their names are. Of course, the Rosens were on that list, along with many others. Why? Why did they want those names? They plan to arrest all the Danish Jews. They plan to take them away, and we have been told that they may come tonight. I don't understand. Take them where? Her father shook his head. We don't know where, and we don't really know why. They call it relocation. We don't even know what that means. We only know that it is wrong and it is dangerous, and we must help. Anne-Marie was stunned. She looked at Ellen and saw that her best friend was crying silently. Where are Ellen's parents? We must help them too. We couldn't take all three of them. If the Germans came to search our apartment, it would be clear that the Rosens were here. One person we can hide, not three. So Peter has helped Ellen's parents go elsewhere. We don't know where. Ellen doesn't know either, but they are safe. Ellen sobbed aloud and she put her face in her hands. Papa put his arm around her. They are safe, Ellen. I promise you that. You will see them again quite soon. Can you try hard to believe my promise? Ellen hesitated, nodded, and wiped her eyes with her hands. But Papa, Anne-Marie said, looking around the small apartment with its few pieces of furniture, the fat stuffed sofa and the table with chairs, the bookcase against the wall. You said that we would hide her. How can we do that? Where can she hide? Papa smiled. That part is easy. It will be as Mama said. You two will sleep together in your bed, and you may giggle and talk and tell secrets to each other. And if anyone comes... Ellen interrupted him. Who might come? Will it be soldiers, like the ones on the corners? Anne-Marie remembered how terrified Ellen had looked the day that the soldier had questioned them on the corner. I really don't think anyone will, but it never hurts to be prepared. If anyone should come, even soldiers, you two will be sisters. You are together so much, it will be easy for you to pretend that you are sisters. He rose and walked to the window. He pulled the lace curtain aside and looked down into the street. Outside, it was beginning to grow dark. Soon they would have to draw the black curtains that all Danes had on their windows. The entire city had to be completely darkened at night. In a nearby tree, a bird was singing. Otherwise, it was quiet. It was the last night of September. Go on now and get into your nightgowns. It will be a long night. Anne-Marie and Ellen got to their feet. Papa suddenly crossed the room and put his arms around them. He kissed the top of each head. Anne-Marie's blonde one, which reached to his shoulder, and Ellen's dark hair, the thick curls braided, as always, into pigtails. Don't be frightened, he said to them softly. Once I had 3 daughters. Tonight I am proud to have 3 daughters again. Chapter 5. Who is the dark-haired one? Do you really think anyone will come? Ellen asked nervously, turning to Anne-Marie in the bedroom. Your father doesn't think so. Of course not. They're always threatening stuff. They just like to scare people. Anne-Marie took her nightgown from a hook in the closet. Anyway, if they did, it would give me a chance to practice acting. I'd just pretend to be Lisa. I wish I were taller, though. Ellen stood on a tiptoe, trying to make herself tall. She laughed at herself, and her voice was more relaxed. You were great as the Dark Queen in the school play last year, Anne-Marie told her. You should be an actress when you grow up. My father wants me to be a teacher. He wants everyone to be a teacher like him. But maybe I could convince him that I should go to acting school. Ellen stood on a tiptoe again and made an imperious gesture with her arm. I am the Dark Queen, she intoned dramatically. I have come to command the night. You should try saying, I'm Lisa Johansson, Anne-Marie said, grinning. If you told the Nazis that you were the Dark Queen, they would haul you off to a mental institution. Ellen dropped her actress pose and sat down with her legs curled under the bed. They won't really come here, do you think? She asked. Anne-Marie shook her head. Not in a million years. She picked up her hairbrush. The girls found themselves whispering as they got ready for bed. There was no need really to whisper. They were, after all, supposed to be normal sisters, and Papa had said they could giggle and talk. The bedroom door was closed. But the night did seem somehow different from a normal night, and so they whispered. How did your sister die, Anne-Marie? Ellen asked suddenly. I remember when it happened, and I remember the funeral. It was the only time I'd ever been in a Lutheran church, but I never knew just what happened. I don't know exactly, Anne-Marie confessed. She and Peter were out somewhere together, and then there was a telephone call, and there had been an accident, and Mama and Papa rushed to the hospital. Remember, your mother came and stayed with me and Christy? Christy was already sleeping, and she slept right through everything. She was so little then, but I stayed up, and I wish I was with your mother in the living room when my parents came home in the middle of the night, and they told me that Lisa had died. I remember it raining, Ellen said sadly. It was still raining the next morning when Mama told me. Mama was crying, and the rain made it seem like the whole world was crying. Anne-Marie finished brushing her long hair and handed her hairbrush to her best friend. Ellen undid her braids, lifted her dark hair away from the thin gold chain she wore around her neck, the chain that held the Star of David, and began to brush her thick curls. I think it was partly because of the rain. They said she was hit by a car. I suppose the streets were slippery, and it was getting dark, and maybe the driver just couldn't see, Anne-Marie went on, remembering. Papa looked so angry. He made one hand into a fist, and he kept pounding it into the other hand. I remember the noise of it. Slam, slam, slam. Together, they got into the wide bed and pulled up the covers. Anne-Marie blew out the candle and drew the dark curtains aside so that the open window near the bed let in some air. See that blue trunk in the corner, she said, pointing through the darkness? Lots of Lisa's things are in there, even her wedding dress. Mama and Papa have never looked at those things, not since the day they packed them away. Ellen sighed. She would have looked so beautiful in her wedding dress. She had such a pretty smile. I used to pretend that she was my sister, too. She would have liked that, Anne-Marie told her. She loved you. That's the worst thing in the world, Ellen whispered. To be dead so young. I wouldn't want the Germans to take my family away to make us live someplace else, but still, it wouldn't be as bad as being dead. Anne-Marie leaned over and hugged her. They won't take you away, she said. Not your parents either. Papa promised that they were safe, and he always keeps his promises. And you are quite safe here with us. For a while, they continued to murmur in the dark, but the murmurs were interrupted by yawns. Then Ellen's voice stopped. She turned over, and in a minute, her breathing was quiet and slow. Anne-Marie stared at the window where the sky was outlined, and a tree branch moved slightly in the breeze. Everything seemed very familiar, very comforting. Dangers were no more than odd imaginings like ghost stories that children made up to frighten one another. Things that couldn't possibly happen. Anne-Marie felt completely safe here in her own home, with her parents in the next room, and her best friend asleep beside her. She yawned contentedly and closed her eyes. It was hours later, but still dark, when she was awakened abruptly by the pounding on the apartment door. Anne-Marie eased the bedroom door open quietly, only a crack, and peeked out. Behind her, Ellen was sitting up, her eyes wide. She could see Mama and Papa in their nightgowns moving about. Mama held a lit candle, but as Anne-Marie watched, she went to the lamp and switched it on. It was so long a time since they dared to use the strictly rationed electricity after dark. The light in the room seemed startling to Anne-Marie, watching through the slightly opened bedroom door. She saw her mother look automatically to the blackout curtains, making certain that they were tightly drawn. Papa opened the front door to the soldiers. "This is the Johansson apartment?" a deep voice asked a question loudly, in a terribly accented Danish. "Our name is on the door, and I see you have a flashlight," Papa answered. "What do you want? Is something wrong?" "I understand you are a friend of your neighbors, the Rosens, Mrs. Johansson," the soldier said angrily. "Sophie Rosen is my friend, that is true," Mama said quietly. "Could you speak more softly? My children are asleep." "Then you will be so kind as to tell me where the Rosens are." He made no effort to lower his voice. "I assume they are home, sleeping. It is 4 a.m, after all," Mama said. Anne-Marie heard the soldiers stalk across the living room toward the kitchen. From her hiding place in their narrow sliver of an open doorway, she could see the heavy uniformed man and a holstered pistol at his waist, in the entrance of the kitchen, peering in toward the sink. Another German voice said, "The Rosens' apartment is empty. We are wondering if they might be visiting their good friend, the Johanssons." "Well," said Papa, moving slightly so that he was standing in front of Anne-Marie's bedroom door, and she could see nothing except for the dark blur of his back, "as you see, you are mistaken. There is no one here but my family." "You will not object if we look around?" The voice was harsh, and it was not a question. "It seems we have no choice," Papa replied. "Please don't wake my children," Mama requested. "There is no need to frighten the little ones." The heavy booted feet moved across the floor again and into the other bedroom. A closet door opened and closed with a bang. Anne-Marie eased her bedroom door closed silently, and she stumbled through the darkness to the bed. "Ellen," she whispered urgently, "take your necklace off." Ellen's hand flew to her neck. Desperately, she tried to unhook the tiny clasp. Outside the bedroom door, the harsh voices and heavy footsteps continued. "I can't get it open," Ellen said frantically. "I never take it off. I can't even remember how to open it." Anne-Marie heard a voice just outside the door. "What is here?" "Shh," her mother replied. "My daughter's bedroom. They are sound asleep." "Hold still," Anne-Marie commanded. "This will hurt." She grabbed the little gold chain and yanked with all her strength and broke it as the door opened and light flooded the bedroom. She crumpled it into her hand and closed her fingers tightly. Terrified, both girls looked up at the 3 Nazi officers who entered the room. One of the men aimed the flashlight around the bedroom. He went to the closet and looked inside. Then, with a sweep of his gloved hand, he pushed back several coats and a bathrobe that hung from the pegs on the wall. There was nothing else in the room except for a chest of drawers, a blue decorated trunk in the corner, and a heap of Christie's dogs piled in a small rocking chair. The flashlight beam touched everything in turn. Angrily, the officer turned to the bed. "Get up," he ordered. "Come out here." Trembling, the 2 girls rose from the bed and followed him, brushing past the 2 remaining officers in the doorway to the living room. Anne-Marie looked around. These 3 uniformed men were different from the ones on the street corners. The street soldiers were often young, sometimes ill at ease, and Anne-Marie remembered how the giraffe had, for a moment, let his harsh pose slip as he smiled at Christy. But these men were older, and their faces were set with anger. Her parents were standing beside each other, their faces tense, but Christy was nowhere in sight. Thank goodness that Christy slept through almost everything. If they had wakened her, she would be wailing, or worse, she would be angry and her fist would fly. Your names?" the officer barked. "Anne-Marie Johansson, and this is my sister." "Quiet! Let her speak for herself." "Your name?" He was glaring at Ellen. Ellen swallowed. "Lisa," she said, and cleared her throat. "Lisa Johansson." The officer stared at them grimly. "Now," Mama said in a strong voice, "you have seen that we are not hiding anything. May my children go back to bed?" The officer ignored her. Suddenly, he grabbed a handful of Ellen's hair. Ellen winced. He laughed scornfully. "You have a blonde child sleeping in the other room, and you have this blonde daughter." He gestured toward Anne-Marie with her head. "Where did you get the dark-haired one?" He twisted the lock of Ellen's hair. "From a different father? From the milkman?" Papa stepped forward. "Don't speak to my wife in such a way. Let go of my daughter, or I will report you for such treatment." "Or maybe you got her from someplace else," the officer continued with a sneer. "From the Rosens." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Anne-Marie, watching with panic, saw her father move swiftly to the small bookcase and take out a book. She saw that he was holding the family photograph album. Very quickly, he searched through its pages, found what he was looking for, and tore out 3 pictures from 3 separate pages. He handed them to a German officer, who released Ellen's hair. "You will see each of my daughters, each with her name written on the photograph," Papa said. Anne-Marie knew instantly which photographs he had chosen. The album had many snapshots, all the poorly focused pictures of school events and birthday parties, but it also contained a portrait taken by a photographer of each girl as a tiny infant. Mama had written in her delicate handwriting the name of each baby daughter across the bottom of these photographs. She too realized with an icy feeling why Papa had torn them from the book. At the bottom of each page below the photograph itself was written the date, and the real Lisa Johansson had been born 21 years earlier. "Kristen Elizabeth," the officer read aloud, looking at Christy's baby picture. He let the photograph fall to the floor. "Anne-Marie," he read next and glanced at her and dropped the second photograph. "Lisa Margaret," he read finally and stared at Ellen for a long, unwavering moment. In her mind, Anne-Marie pictured the photograph that was held. The baby, wide-eyed, propped up against a pillow, her tiny hair holding a silver teething ring, her bare feet visible with the hem of an embroidered dress, the wispy curls, dark. The officer tore the photograph in half and dropped the pieces on the floor. Then he turned on the heel of his shiny boots, grinding into the pictures, and left the apartment. Without a word, the other 2 officers followed. Papa stepped forward and closed the door behind them. Anne-Marie relaxed the clenched fingers in her right hand, which she still clutched Ellen's necklace. She looked down and saw that she had imprinted the Star of David into her palm. And that's where we're going to stop right there. So, I want you to think about what's going to happen now that Ellen is pretending to be Lisa Johansson. Is she going to be able to go to school again? What's going to happen to the family? Are they going to be able to stay there? Are they going to have to go somewhere else? Where are Ellen's parents? Think about Peter. If he's helping them, what could Peter be a part of that we read about earlier in the book? I want you to think about these things. Make some predictions. Make some inferences. Continue working on that packet that you already have. If you don't have that packet, just do some MobyMax. Do some free writing. It is a beautiful day outside. It's going to be almost 60 degrees. Get outside today. Have some fun. Get some exercise. I challenge you. Excuse me, Cash. I challenge you this week to learn how to cook something with your parents, whether it be some mac and cheese or something like cookies. Learn how to cook something, get involved, and have some fun. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and happy Easter tomorrow. I won't be posting a video tomorrow because it is Easter, and I'll be spending that time with my family. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I love you and miss you a ton. Bye.